Hey guys, this week, I know it's been a while since I've put a video up, but I'm going to do a quick review on another X Faction miniature that I picked up at Figureworld, and this is the Forsaken Princess, or the Witch Hunter. It's one of the new ones out. It's very, very good. So you get this sort of card with them. The card's probably A5 by the looks of it. Got some very nice artwork on it of the miniature itself, and then the miniature comes in the usual little box. Again, same comments that I made for the Troll Hunter. The packaging, although it's kind of nice, isn't particularly safe for this. Is literally how it comes, just in a plastic bag in a box. Doesn't seem particularly safe for transporting delicate resin miniatures, certainly through the post anyway. But as I said, all of the ones that I've had so far I've picked up from shows, so I don't actually know if they package them any differently for shipping through the post or anything like that. So we'll get this open and we'll have a look. There we go, that's all of that. So it's got quite a nice base. You've also got a little sprue of weaponry and a little sprue of clothes and what appears to be a hand, I think. Not sure. Might be a talon or something along those lines. Not entirely sure about that. We'll have a look. So the base, try and get it zoomed in, there we go, perfect. Base is particularly nice, has a sort of semi-prone figure on it, sort of wrapped in sort of decaying material, and a very sort of evil face there, sort of lich or white of some description you could have. So depending on how you want to paint it up, of course. And there's a stone that she stands on. And beyond that, a couple of bits of flashing if you wanted to mount it on a 30mm base. It does come with the usual sort of round-lipped 30mm base, and it wouldn't take too much effort to actually be able to mount that in there quite nicely. Or alternatively, you could just have it as is. You can stick it on a base and work around the base to create a little diorama or something along those lines. So yeah, not too bad. There appears to be, yeah, it looks like there's an imprint in there for a foot. So grab the body. So this is the Forsaken Princess herself. And you can see, I mean, you could do all sorts of fun effects. There's a lot of skin. Appears to be missing half of her bum, but there you go. No, these bits fit into it because they, I'm not sure which is which, but they form a sort of skirt for her back and front as well. Probably that way around. Oh, there we go. So they kind of fit in there. So I'll do a there we go. So again, you could do all sorts of fancy effects. You could have the veil over her face being sort of semi-transparent. You could do sort of transparent cloth effects on there. She's got darts for her, bolts for her crossbow there, and all sorts of lovely things. She's holding a sword as well, which is on here, so that would go like that, something on those lines. See if I can get this married up. There we go. So yeah, something along those lines. She's going to be holding it. Then she's got a crossbow. So that's got the hand on it. So yeah, so that's going to be a pinning point. Put the hand in it like that. So arm and hand there. And then she's got a scabbard of some description. It doesn't appear to be a mounting point on it, so I'm guessing you could just mount that pretty much anywhere you want it on the figure by the looks of it. You're probably going to want it down by her side. I think on the artwork it sort of shows it sort of coming off her hip there on that bit, and there is actually a, I think that zoomed in, there is actually a sort of string coming down there that you could mount it on quite nicely. So beyond that, got very upturned shoes. Quite an interesting design for the shoes. So you're going to want to trim those bits off, and then she's going to sort of stand on the base, sort of something like that. So she's actually got a foot up on the creature, which is what that sort of thing's for. Obviously it'll fit better once you've got these out of the way. Oh, there we go. So a bit like that. So something along those lines. So triumphant pose. So always good. So the actual moulding is pretty nice. Again, it's a resin miniature, so you're going to get little areas like that just need taking off. And again, sharp scalpel knife will take care of that really quickly. There's not too much in the way of mould lines. This looks like a mould line, but it actually isn't. It's actually an indentation into the model, so it's actually sort of where sort of the armour sections are overlapping. I'm just looking around. I can't actually see any mould lines. Normally you'd catch, apart from this one, normally you'd actually catch them sort of down the side of the body where it needs to be smooth, and you find them down there, but this is actually very well cast. There's a few sort of little bits of flashing in between her legs there. Oh, there you go. There's one just going across the bottom of her thigh, but nothing major at all. Be a very fast clean up, this one. So little bits. We've got various bits for her skirt. So you've got sort of a front section of her skirt with some sort of scale mail on top of it, and then you've got the back section of the skirt. Again, nice folds and things that you can do all sorts of highlighting and shading down. Not too much detail on the back, but then doesn't really need it, does it? And then you've got part of her arm, so that's obviously going to mount into the arm and then take the crossbow on the end of it. And then there's the weapons. So you've got the traditional witch hunting sword, which looks very nice. It's going to be hard to actually separate. The only thing I'd say is it's going to be hard to separate that from the actual sword, because there isn't too much. There isn't a huge amount of moulding going on at the top there. I'll try and zoom in. There we go. There isn't a huge amount of moulding going on at the top there, so I would assume that it separates sort of along that line there, but yeah, pommel could probably do with a bit more definition on it, if anything, especially when compared to the artwork. The artwork, I'll bring the picture back in. The artwork for the pommel shows a sort of tip on top and a sort of thin area and all that, but there's very little sort of evidence of anything like that on the actual miniature itself, really. It's a bit of a shame, but there you go. So the scabbard is fairly fairly basic really. There's nothing particularly exciting going on there. Bit of cleanup needed, but it's essentially just a straight bit of resin. And then the crossbow, again, it's got a sort of quite a nice sort of finish to it. It's got a bolt in there, hand moulded onto it. These two bits on the edges will need taking off, but all in all, yeah, quite nice. Not too bad. If you really wanted to get seriously obsessive about it, you could hollow out the piece between the crossbow bolts and the actual body, because on the artwork it shows it as a sort of a curved effect. How effective that would actually be as a crossbow, I don't know. I suspect it would probably snap, but it's a miniature, so it doesn't have to be realistic. So all in all, yeah, I quite like it, which is handy. So it's going to look quite nice. You can have Lass standing there. It's going to have a sword in this hand pointing downwards, and a crossbow in this hand, sort of coming down